Hello, my name is TJ Lee. I am the writer and creator of Dusklight Radio, and if you are seeing this or hearing this, that means the algorithm is continuing to favor my 30 in 30 experiment, where I'm taking 30 straight days of 30 uploads to see if it will jumpstart my channel. I hope you enjoy your time here. Dusklight Radio is a channel that is focused on high-quality horror audio dramatic content. That means dynamic voice acting, original sound design, unique music, and good voice acting, and of course, at the centerpiece of it all, good horror stories crafted by myself and by some of my colleagues. We also have a podcast called The Nightmare Detectives, which is set in the popular Sturgeon universe. If you've been on Dark Somnium's channel, or Romnex, or pretty much any of the big YouTube channels that do horror, you'll have heard of something from the Sturgeon universe that I wrote. This channel is hosted by Everett Blackwell, who is a half-dead host. He's got a lovely southern drawl, and I'm sure he'll look forward to meeting you all. But the purpose of this is to let you all know that we're doing this every single day, except Christmas, until January 15th, at which point we'll be switching to a 3-day-a-week schedule. That's Mondays for SCP videos, Wednesdays for regular horror, and Fridays for something a little bit special, with one feature-length entry every single month. I really hope you enjoy your time here. If you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing, drop a comment, let me know the algorithm found you. It's been overwhelming so far. Consider signing up to the Patreon if you want to support me, and there's a Discord below as well. Alright, I think I've waffled on enough for 90 seconds. I really hope you enjoy this week's servings of horror goodness. The sun is setting on a rainy city street as commuters rush home for the evening. Most pass by without noticing the uniquely tall figure concealed in the shadows of a particularly dark alleyway. But those who do notice are quick to stop.
Hooray, 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 folks! Grab your drinks, take your seats, and get ready for a ride! Today we're visiting the big city of Rockland, Georgia, and there's a new circus in town. Circue Du Sourire has been performed in every country worldwide. Yet I bet you've never heard of us. That's okay, because after tonight, we'll be impossible to forget. Our acts maybe change, the quality always remains. Don't miss this, quite literally, once-in-a-lifetime performance. There's no acrobats or jugglers, no bearded ladies or magicians. You won't see a single lion, tiger, or bear. Oh my! I guarantee each sight will be one never beheld, and 100% authentic. But don't take my word for it. Come on in and have a seat!
Behind the figure is an old brick building, and, right on cue, its rusted metal door swings open with an ominous groan. Spectators turn up their collars against a sudden blast of cold wind as they make their way inside. There they file into the rows of theatre seats set before a grand stage. At its center, a tall green hat hovering atop two glowing disjointed eyes emerges from the darkness. A pair of white-gloved hands appear lower on either side as the hat erupts into dull green flames, just bright enough to illuminate a faint outline. A long, slender figure is seated in a high-backed chair, and a shining silver cane appears in its right hand as it rises. Though the flickering light allows short glimpses of a maroon velvet suit, the figure's face remains a blank void, creating a sinister air around his booming voice.
Hello, Rockland! Thank you for joining us on this dark and dreary evening. Now this may seem like an unusual setting, but many of our performers simply can't be available during the day. In fact, no introduction can possibly prepare you for the sights to come. Our show is what you must experience to believe. And I should warn you, the front rows are a splash zone. Now, without further ado...
The ringmaster's green flame extinguishes, and the stage is left in total darkness until a teal light cascades across the floor. With it, comes a drifting mist that separates and settles into the form of two young, translucent girls. The pair are identical down to their matching dresses and porcelain faces. Their dark hair is pulled back with thick headbands, and the teal lights ripple behind them like an ocean.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Guidry twins, Ethel and Esther.
Born 1884 to a prominent family, at age 12 they set fire to their teacher's home. 3 years later, they murdered their parents and buried them in the basement. For a short time, they were able to run the household, but they could not excuse the Guidry's absence forever. The twins fled from the sheriff, but they could not outrun fate. Death came for them as it will come for you all. For the twins, it came in the form of 3 drunken rustlers merely happening by.
The transparent sisters dissipate back into a shapeless mist that spreads over the audience. 2 columns begin rising from the center, swirling together like a tornado. The glowing teal is pulled into the funnel and redispersed to create a new scene on stage. There is a brilliant forest lit with hundreds of fireflies and a small path cut through its center. The cyclone separates into multiple strands of mist that reform the twins, hand in hand, on center stage. They wave cheerfully as more mist collects behind them into 3 separate pools. Each one grows taller and darker until settling into the shape of giant, hulking men. Their eyes are black holes barely visible beneath the rims of their cowboy hats, and each brandishes a large knife. The young girls seem ignorant of their presence as the men raise their weapons high above the sisters' heads. Without warning, they strike as one, and an explosion of red spills over the audience before it all fades into darkness. After a suspenseful pause, the forest reappears. Only now the bright teal is stained with a deep crimson tarnishing its former glow. The murderers sit gathered around a small fire, laughing and drinking. Behind them, Esther and Ethel's spirits take shape. Their bodies stretch upwards until their height towers over the 3 men. And then they pounce. This time the darkness is immediate but lasts only an instant before the scene returns in flashes. The twins' faces are contorted into monstrous expressions and their pointed nails tear into their prey. The men's screams ring through the auditorium and flash. One man lies lifeless, separate from his arms. Another is beneath Esther, his stomach torn open, intestines raised like a trophy. The last is dangling from Ethel's grasp, her hands wrapped around his throat, pulling until his head separates from his spine and a red mist sprays across the stage. His body is dropped with a thud, and then flash. The bodies now lie in a burning pile, their flesh melting as the twins dance around the flames. Now it is their turn to laugh and sing. And darkness.
Their revenge was had.
Oh, but still, they could not rest. Aimlessly they wandered for 20 long years before finding a home with our troop. And tonight, you'll see firsthand just what a couple of vengeful spirits can really do. But first, we'll need a volunteer.
The stage floor is relit with soft teal lights, and the twins once again stand together in the center. A spotlight appears over the crowd, revealing dozens of eager hands. Slowly, the circle shrinks to a single hand near the back row.
And we have a winner, Jonah Davis. Come on down, good sir, come on down. Let's give him a hand, folks.
A well-dressed middle-aged man with curly brown hair and thick-rimmed glasses proceeds to the front, cheering and high-fiving those he passes along the way. Nearing the final few feet, he raises both fists in a celebratory pump before leaping onto the stage. The twins guide him to the center and stand on either side.
Mr. Davis is married to a dental hygienist, has 2 daughters, and enjoys spending time outdoors. At first glance, you might think he's an accountant or an office manager. But Jonah is actually a drug dealer. A successful one. In fact, these very streets are where his enterprise began. Isn't that right, Jonah?
Jonah nods with an approving smile and gives 2 big thumbs up, but his eyes shift nervously over the audience.
Yes, give it up for Mr. Davis! He's about to assist the Guidry twins with a most important ritual, one that is very vital to their existence. Prepare to be amazed!
Another flash and the twins are facing Jonah, mist streaming from their outstretched arms. It envelops Mr. Davis, wrapping him slowly into a cocoon until only his face is exposed. His glasses fall to the floor. Beads of sweat dot his forehead, but still, he's smiling. Then, so gently, he is lifted into the air and turned onto his back. The captivated audience stares at the horizontal bulge with keen anticipation, and then it starts to compress. It is almost imperceptible at first, but the cocoon is becoming, ever so slightly, flatter by the second. Soon, Jonah can be heard struggling for air. Each breath grows more shallow until there is only wheezing, choking, and abrupt silence. Soon there is only a stream of mist flowing between the sisters as the forest and the fireflies return in all their former brilliance. Esther and Ethel glow with radiance and new life as they float serenely to center stage. There they take a final bow before they and the scenery disappear entirely. In their place, a green flame emerges, and the ringmaster returns.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Guidry twins!
The ringmaster crosses the stage with an inhumanly long stride and tips his hat to the audience. His eyes gleam as if he is hiding a smirk beneath his facial void.
And that was only the beginning. Our next performers are more of a group effort, if you will. But first, we're going to need another volunteer.
The spotlight reappears over the audience to show nearly every member waving, eager to be chosen. It spans erratically over the crowd as it shrinks until a shaggy-haired young man is singled out. Christopher Scruggs waves victoriously and heads for the stage. The crowd is rendered invisible behind a veil of darkness once he is standing with the ringmaster. Never has he felt so alone. But still, he is smiling, and still, the crowd is cheering.
Everyone, welcome our next guest. Chris just turned 18 last month. He's in his senior year at Rockland High, their star picture, in fact. And he has already attained several prominent scholarship offers. Ooh. His other talents include rock climbing, beer pong, and Call of Duty. It's this last skill that makes him especially qualified for our next performance.
A small portion of the audience has been made visible in the spotlight's glare. They are cheering, but some are also twitching. One woman's head does a quick jerk to the side. Another man's foot shoots forward. For some, it is only an eye or a finger. But still, they continue to clap.
My good people, this is how to survive a zombie apocalypse. That's right. We not only provide entertainment, but education as well. And tell me, is there any better teacher than a live demonstration?
The spotlight appears over stage left to reveal a zombie cheerleader. A large piece of missing skull leaves its brain exposed, while random strands of dark hair hang from its remaining scalp. One eye slightly protrudes from its socket, and one arm has been torn off at the shoulder.
Lesson 1, Zombie Basics. As you're all likely aware, there are many techniques one may utilize to end these creatures. But the key to success is in the total destruction of the brain. Yes, fire is one strategy, but no, we will not be setting fire to my stage. At least not during this performance. Instead, we will begin with firearms.
A simple revolver appears in the ringmaster's outstretched hand.
Here you are, my boy. All you need to do is kill the zombie before it kills you. Surely this will be child's play for someone with your skills. Now, show him how it's done.
The spotlights shine on Christopher and the zombie. Everything else is plunged back into darkness while the zombie stumbles forward. Christopher stands with the weapon raised. There is a joyous expression on his face that fails to meet his eyes, while his hands shake with excitement. Or perhaps it's terror. 6 feet remain between them when Christopher fires his first shot wide, and the bullet whizzes backstage. 4 feet to go, and the second shot slams into the zombie's chest. It is knocked back a step, but otherwise unfazed. At 2 feet, the third shot finds its mark, and an explosion of organic matter is sprayed onto the stage in front row.
Well done, my boy! Well done!
Christopher's whole body is now shaking, but his smile remains intact. The ringmaster places one hand on the boy's shoulder and retrieves the gun with his other. The moment they make contact, Christopher becomes as steady as a board.
Now, on to lesson 2. Slashing and bashing. It's important to note that not all zombies will be slow and clumsy, nor will you always have a firearm at your disposal. Sometimes you may be left with little more than a bat or a machete. But fear not, for these weapons can be every bit as effective. All right, Mr. Scruggs, time to choose your weapon. Which will it be?
A large bat appears in one of the ringmaster's hands and a machete in the other. Christopher extends his own hand but pauses halfway. Still, he smiles, but his hair is slick with sweat and wet circles peek out from beneath his arms. He turns briefly to the crowd, half a shouting for the machete and half for the bat. There is an audible gulp before Christopher finally chooses the machete.
A wise choice indeed. Now we will release the zombie. The rules are the same as before. Just kill it before it kills you.
The second spotlight appears back over stage left. The former cheerleader's corpse is gone, and in its place is a new zombie. One that used to be a lawyer in its former life. Remnants of a suit still hang from its body, but most of its skin is missing entirely. Its legs, however, work just fine. It charges across the stage, foam dripping from its mouth. Christopher stumbles backward and swings wildly until the blade makes contact with the approaching monstrosity. It bites into the shredded muscle, clinging to the zombie's arm, and remains stuck as both figures fall to the ground. Christopher barely manages to crawl from beneath the rabid creature before being bitten.
Bet this bat is looking pretty good right about now, huh?
The ringmaster offers the bat to Christopher, and it is ripped from his grasp as the young man scrambles away from the lunging zombie. Armed once more, Christopher turns back and swings like a man possessed. He's still smiling, but his eyes are clenched shut. The first strikes into the zombie's shoulder and neck, but the third and fourth finally make contact with its head. Christopher is sprayed with blackened blood and brain matter as the zombie collapses, but he continues to swing. Only when the ringmaster plucks the bat away does he stop. His eyes open, his back straightens, and his smile widens.
Bravo, good sir. An excellent demonstration. Isn't he something, folks? I don't know about you, but I'm dying to see how he does in Lesson 3, Evasive Action. After all, sometimes the best defense is simply living to fight another day.
The lights shut off, leaving both the stage and audience in total darkness. Moments later, numerous spotlights reveal the previous zombie is gone, and the stage has been converted into something resembling a miniature skate park. There are stairs, ramps, walkways, and randomly placed barriers. The ringmaster remains hidden in the shadows, one hand on Christopher's shoulder. The young man is covered in grime, his clothes are ripped, and his neck bleeds from fresh scratch marks. But he is once again composed and wearing the same soulless smile.
Now, Chris, can I call you Chris? All you have to do is survive for 60 seconds. Piece of cake, right?
right?
The ringmaster disappears in a cloud of smoke, and a new, snarling zombie appears at each end of the stage. They immediately hone in on their prey and charge towards him. Christopher runs up a flight of stairs to a platform with ramps splitting into 3 directions. The male zombie attempts to run up the left section, but quickly slides back to the bottom. The female uses the stairs with more success, and Christopher slides down the ramp's right side. He runs up an adjacent 6-foot ramp onto a long walkway, but the zombies are quickly gaining. Before they can pounce, he leaps from the walkway's edge, and his foot snaps to the side on landing. Christopher attempts to stand, but his foot hangs at an awkward angle, and he collapses with his first step. Then the zombies are upon him. They tear into the flesh of his back and begin to feast. The audience is captivated, unfazed by the young man's dying screams. Only when he falls silent and his body goes limp do the lights once again flash. When they return, the obstacle course and zombies are gone. All that remains is an empty stage and the ringmaster, standing front and center, taller than ever.
And that was lesson 4, inevitable death. Give it up for Chris one more time. Folks, you might think you've seen something, but let me tell you, you ain't seen nothing. Our next performer hails all the way from Manchester, England. He fought and died during the Anglo-Spanish War, but he wasn't allowed to rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the vampire, Albert Thorstein!
For several seconds, nothing happens. Then a bat swoops down to center stage where it morphs into a man. Albert is short and burly. His black hair is slicked back and his black suit is of the finest quality. He bows deeply and tosses a rose to a beautiful young lady in the front row.
Well, I think Albert has chosen our next volunteer. What do you say, Heather?
The spotlight centers on a blonde woman in her mid-20s. Her red eyes glisten and her smile stretches wide across her face. She waves modestly to the crowd as she makes her way onto the stage.
Heather Campbell, everyone, here all the way from Rhode Island.
Heather is a traveling nurse, an undevoted wife and mother of 2, as well as a recreational shoplifter. Ooh, you sly devil, you. She also enjoys moonlit walks on the beach, cooking, and yoga. Now, Mr. Thorstein, if you would do us the honor of demonstrating the talent for which you are most famous.
The ringmaster vanishes, leaving only Albert and Heather standing opposite one another. The vampire captures her gaze and stares deeply into her eyes. They cross the stage slowly until their faces are only inches apart, and Heather tilts her head slightly to one side. Albert tenderly pushes her hair away and lowers his mouth towards her exposed flesh. Just before making contact, 2 fangs extend past his lips and sink into the large vein running along her neck. Blood pours from between them and paints the stage red. All the while, Heather stares ahead dreamily. Eventually, her body and face relax, but traces of her smile remain. With the utmost care, Albert lowers the lifeless body onto the stage and takes another bow before methodically cleaning the blood from his face.
Quite a sight, is it not? To watch the very life drain from one into another. From the living to the dead. These fearsome creatures can do far more than mesmerize their victims.
Now, I don't want to give away all of Albert's secrets, but I think he can indulge us just a little. Of course, we'll need another volunteer.
Every hand flies into the air. People are standing in their seats, jumping for the chance to be selected. Some of their fingernails are broken and bleeding. Their smiles are stretched paper thin and their lips are beginning to crack. The spotlight searches the crowd, shrinking until it lands on a grey-haired man wearing an army jacket. He punches the air in victory and makes his way onto the stage.
Carl Price, get on up here!
Carl here is a retired widower with 1 son and 3 grandchildren. Not that you ever see them. At 18, he joined the military to escape his abusive father, but went AWOL after basic training. Shortly after, he moved to Mexico, where he found work as a mechanic until returning to the US just last year. Let's give him a little encouragement, folks. This one's gonna be a doozy.
The ringmaster vanishes, leaving Carl and Albert alone on the otherwise empty stage.
A pleasure to meet you, sir.
Albert extends his hand and Carl automatically reaches for it. Once eye contact is established, Carl's body relaxes just as Heather's before him.
There we are. That's it. Just relax.
Do you remember me, Carl?
From primary school. We were best mates, weren't we?
Carl nods in affirmation while staring dreamily ahead.
That's brilliant. You're doing very well. Now, as you know, old chum, I am a vampire. As such, I've got some handy tricks up my sleeve, and I'd like you to help demonstrate a few. Do you suppose that'd be alright?
Carl nods, and a small line of drool escapes from the corner of his mouth.
You see, the best part about being a vampire is the near indestructibility. I am 246, yet I appear not a day over 35. I've been shot, stabbed, decapitated, hanged, drowned, even taken a ride through a meat grinder. Yet, here I stand. Holy water, garlic, crosses, silver, stakes, these do nothing. Fire. That's the only way. Long exposure to sunlight will do the trick, but if you're trying to kill a vampire, you probably don't want to wait. Hold on. What's this then? You lot look skeptical. Seems like you might lead a little proof in the pudding.
A small shadowy void appears floating next to Albert. His hand disappears as he reaches inside to retrieve a long sword. After holding it aloft for the crowd to see, he offers it to Carl.
I can assure you, this is a very real, very sharp sword.
Albert removes his shirt and jacket, folds them neatly, and places them inside the void like a suitcase.
What Carl is gonna do is slice its tip straight across my lower abdomen. And we're gonna stand right at the very front of the stage so you can all get the best view possible. Come along now, Carl. You stand here, and I'll stand here. Perfect. Now, I'm gonna need you lot in the front row to pay especially close attention. Please take note that this is my real skin and not some fake torso. See how it jiggles as one with my back. Not all vampires are fit and trim. That's another myth. Alright, Carl. Don't be shy. Just cut nice and deep, right between the hips.
Albert spreads his arms wide and Carl steps forward, swinging the blade with all his strength. It bites into the vampire's flesh and slides across his abdomen with a dark spray of blood. Albert turns to face the audience, and there's a slight second's delay before his skin splits apart. Intestines spill to the floor with a sickening splat. And the vampire's smile widens as he allows the organs to fall through his open fingers. Blood runs down the stage and under the front row, almost black and too thick. But that too stops as the vampire's wound seals itself shut.
Good thing I don't need those anymore. Thank you, thank you.
Albert uses his foot to push the leftover organs from the stage, and returns to the floating void where he retrieves his shirt and jacket.
I would have liked to show you a proper decapitation, but I'm afraid the healing process isn't conducive to our showtime. Fear not, I think you'll enjoy this bit just as much. Bravo, mate. You gutted me like an old pro, you did. And you did it because you trust me, right? Because we're old chums. And our friendship makes you happy, yes? You are happy, aren't you, Carl?
Carl is extremely happy. You can see the happiness in his bulging, bloodshot eyes, and he nods emphatically. He's so happy that he cannot stop smiling. So happy that his heart is racing faster than it can handle. He is so happy that he does not care that his sweat-soaked clothes are clinging to his skin and hampering his movement. He cares only for his dear friend Albert and their spectacular show. Good man. This is a good man right here, ladies and gents. And we're going to need Carl to hang on to that sword a little longer. You see, what truly makes a vampire dangerous isn't our superhuman speed or strength. It's not the fact that we gain these attributes by drinking your blood. It's our power to persuade. I'm gonna let you lot in on a secret. I've never met Carl before today. Bloke's a total stranger. Oh, but shh, don't let on. Albert moves to stand next to Carl and places an arm around his pointed shoulders. Oh, actually, before we start the next bit, do you have your phone on you? Yeah, of course you do. That's perfect. I've been falling on some hard times lately. Believe it or not, this gig doesn't exactly rake in the door. Could you just open your banking app for me? Great. Oh, you go, Carl. Oh, you've built yourself a respectable nest egg here. Proper adult you are. Now, be a mate and transfer it, all of it, to me. Carl's fingers twitch only once as Albert recites his account number. And bippity boppity bling bling, now I'm rich. Oh, stop, it was nothing. Kid stuff, really. It's true, we all regard currency as one of our most vital assets. But shouldn't we value our bodies even more? All living creatures share the base instinct to preserve one's own life. It's encoded in our very DNA. So, which is more powerful? That instinct, or my powers of persuasion? Let's find out. Again, Albert's hand disappears into the void, and out comes a tall, square table which he places between them. Alright, mate. I'm sure you're wondering what we're going to do with that sword, and it's time to find out. Go ahead and place your left hand on the table. Brilliant. Now, use your other hand to cut it off. Oh, and be sure to aim just where it connects to the wrist. I do apologise, my assistant forgot to pack the axe, so it may take a few swings. I'll be having a stern chat with Debbie after the show, you can believe that. With no hesitation, Carl raises the sword and brings it down onto his arm, just below the wrist, cutting it to the bone. He swings it again, higher this time, but it isn't enough. He swings a third time and a chunk of meat is flung to the floor in the growing pool of blood. On the fourth swing, his hand finally falls free. Carl should be screaming, but the only sound coming from him is a twisted, maniacal laughter. Albert raises the severed hand in triumph and lets the blood drain into his mouth as the crowd goes wild. Now, plunge that sword through your heart. Carl, whose arm is still spewing blood onto the stage and audience, goes down to his knees, raises the sword once more, and stabs it deep into his chest. His death comes almost instantly as he falls onto his back, the sword left embedded like a dark Excalibur. The audience rises to give a standing ovation, though several collapse, their shaking legs unable to support them. Others' hands are bleeding where the skin has begun to peel, but still they clap. Their cheers sound strange, as if their voices had grown hoarse, but that does not stop them. They are still cheering when the stage goes dark. The ringmaster returns center stage with a bow and only his dim, green flame for light. The fire spreads from his hat to his cane as he lifts it high above his head and slams it back into the ground with a dramatic thud.
Albert Thorstein, ladies and gentlemen!
Well, now we can say we have seen some things tonight, can't we? And there's still one act remaining. One in which I personally play a part. But first, a quick introduction for my co-star. When I say Reaper, many of you will envision the Grim Reaper, a name mortals often ascribe to a personified version of death itself. As a species, you love to put faces on everything. But death is simply that. Death. It is a word used to describe the soul's transition from one plane to the next. nothing more. This term is, however, derived from the creature you're about to see, but much truth has been lost in the lore. Just as vampires drink blood, reapers consume souls. But no, they do not attack the living. Reapers exist between this world and the next. They are part of neither, yet occupy both. Therefore, they can only interact with those already in the process of crossing over, or those who are likewise part of both.
A phantom-like entity appears next to the ringmaster. It is surrounded by the same soft teal glow as the twins, but its shape is amorphous and constantly changing. Occasionally, the outline of a distorted face appears within the mass, but then it is gone again. It has 4 limbs one moment and 6 the next. It shifts from the size of a beach ball to a tree, and everything in between.
And I'll tell you a little secret of my own. He's my favorite. Or she. Well, it. I'm not quite sure, to be quite honest.
Oh, but isn't it cute?
I came across it in a field hospital during the Black Death. Good times. Good times. We refer to it as the true first Thanksgiving. Bodies everywhere, and all their souls to drink. Of course, this one was trying to keep the whole town to itself. Such a greedy Gus. Little Scabby but tried stealing my souls. And, well, you can see how that ended. As one who can freely travel between the planes, I was able to tame it, though not without cost. Believe it or not, there's some sharp teeth hiding in that glowing blob. The real challenge, however, is keeping it fed. Such an insatiable appetite. One you have to see to believe. And that brings us to our next order of business. Choosing the final volunteers.
Every hand shoots into the air. Those who remain on the floor from their previous collapse climb over their chairs in an attempt to reach just a little higher. Many turn to violence in order to gain an edge, and soon the entire crowd is in chaos. Janice Swartz leaps onto her husband's back, raking her claws across his cheeks. Ian Darby elbows his brother in the face, shattering his nose. Naomi Hicks stabs a random stranger with a pair of scissors, and Daryl Bradford shoves his best friend to the ground, where several others trample him in their own frenzy to be selected.
Now, there's no need to fight. This last performance is a very special one. You will all be our final volunteers.
With an unsettling obedience, the fighting stops, and the audience cheers louder than ever despite their hoarse voices and blistered hands. Their smiles stretch almost to their ears, and several noses have begun to bleed in concert with their eyes.
In my most humble opinion, no circus is complete without a ring of fire!
The ringmaster lifts his still blazing cane once more, stretching his impossibly long arm far over the crowd. With one flick of his wrist, a circle of flames expands outwards until the entire audience is surrounded by a giant ring of green fire. It stands twice as tall as the highest head and slowly shrinks in on the ecstatic crowd. The skin of those on the perimeter begins to melt, sliding from their bodies like chunky soup. Eyeballs boil from their sockets and burst. Some of the crowd leap or drag themselves into the flames, while others wait to be consumed. But they all die laughing. The Reaper floats through the flames freely and effortlessly, consuming their souls like death's Roomba. The ring of fire finally shrinks to a single column and disappears, leaving only piles of ash and a bloated Reaper in its wake. The single exception being a lone figure near the front of the stage.
Hey, you. Yes, you. I'm certainly not speaking to the piles of ash. Surely, you must be wondering why you aren't among them, no? I have spared you because you sparked my interest. My show is not for the audience. It is for me. You see, I am something of a zookeeper. The twins, the zombies, the vampire, and, of course, the Reaper are all a part of my collection. A small part, mind you. I have many more at home. But the sad truth is that they are a very expensive hobby. In order to cut down on cost, I began acquiring their food myself, and promptly grew bored. Then I thought of how badly I've dreamed of being in show business. Not an easy gig to fall into where I come from, and, well, here we are. The only problem was getting people to watch. Not many humans will simply sit through a show waiting to be slaughtered. In fact, some are downright offended if you even ask. That's why I began taking away their free will. But please don't confuse what I do to that of the vampire's performance. My abilities far surpass such simple stage tricks. Anyone can make a man kill himself. What I do is art. But now there's you. Why are you here? I didn't bring you in. I didn't force you to watch, and I certainly didn't force you to enjoy it. Yet, here you stood, all the way to the bitter end, smiling. So tell me, what's wrong with you?
Most heartfelt greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. I eagerly welcome you to Sturgeon's most premier station, Dusklight Radio, hosted by yours truly, the effervescent, ethereal, and immersive Everett J. Blackwell. This phenomenal tale of delightful carnival delights was crafted exclusively for Dusklight in its first publication by the amazing PageTurner. Page is most well known for the Backroads series, something we potentially may be adapting in 2026. I'm so thankful to have Page on the channel after giving us such classics on the Dark Somnium and other outlets. You can find more from PageTurner linked below. Now, normally I'd go into my usual Blackwell spiel here, however, we're at the end of the video. If you've stuck around long enough, this is a sample of what our usual introductions to Dusklight transmissions are like. A link to one of our normal lengthy transmission videos is below. However, for the next 30 days as of December 15th, you will not be getting those introductions unless it is a special Sturgeon video, such as the next chapter in our ongoing series coming out before the new year. You see, we want to test out the algorithm to see how well YouTube responds to a regular series of posts. So we decided between myself and the wonderful Vidith to do a 30 in 30 challenge. 30 days, 30 videos, no days off, except for Christmas, which will make up on the schedule. At the end of that time, we'll look at our metrics, see how well it's responded, if any new listeners have come to the station, and we can then make an informed decision about how we want to progress. I can tell you right now, however, that as of Season 6, in 2026 for Dusklight Radio, we will be going to 3 videos a week, an SCP video on Mondays, and normal, NoSleep or Creepypasta story on Wednesdays, and on Fridays we'll be doing something special. Every single month we'll be doing a compilation of our best stories from the month, and you'll also get a special feature-length Sturgeon or feature-length Creepypasta story with immersive sound design, SFX, and voice acting. Very few things are going to be changing except the quality of our production. With that, I bring you to our outros. which are very important because this is the time where we thank all of our patrons for making this possible. If you want to sign up, it's as little as $1 a month and you get exclusive content, early access videos and stories, updates, and more. You can even suggest videos and stories for me to cover on the channel. But times are tough and we will always be grateful for your support no matter what form it comes in. Financial, spiritual, corporeal, maniacal, whatever you want. Either way, it really helps us out. And consider joining the Discord. We have a wonderful community at the listening station and we'd love to have you there. Duskglide gives thanks to, first, our Purple Crayon Eaters, Echo Kane, Gail Allstott, Alex, Mike, Candyman Gloving, Ashabel, Amara, Fi, Max, and Feeny Von Kama. Our janitors, Allie, Shane Lewis, Dux, Joy Flint Healy, Sabine Eclipse, Death 31, Scott, Heather Cayley, Adrian R., Amy, Arkham Cookie, and Alex Nunez. Our nightmare detectives, Deliria, Melanie Schaefer, and Fox Clifford. Our void walkers, Josh Woods and Professor Creepypasta. And of course, our Blackwell family. Great Uncle Ven Blackwell, who really seems to be hanging around the furnishings lately. I could swear that I've seen him trying to reanimate something from in the wallpaper. He keeps stroking it softly and saying, "Hush, little one, soon you could be free." Ethan Blackwell, the master of repo and infuriating the outer gods alongside his BFF, Jimmy. Jackal Blackwell, the scourge of gas station sushi outlets. Clue Blackwell, the twisting, shambling horror. Tabitha Blackwell, wearing a muscle tee with Kyo's face as a skull she smashed, declaring herself the Spine Queen. And of course, Papa Kyo Blackwell, preparing his greatest weapon, the Spine Lord, and his many, many legions of bone fragments. We love and fear you, Papa, and we thank you humbly for your patronage and look to see you bright and early for Duskglide orientation. Purple crayons and existential dread will be provided. And one last time, listeners, close your eyes and breathe with me. Remember, no matter how bad things are, how cruel people can be, and how heavy your shoulders may feel with the weight of the world bearing down on them, Duskglide will always be here to lift the load and provide you with some respite. Drink some hot cocoa with chocolate sprinkles and fat marshmallows. Have some s'mores. Watch a video about liminal spaces and sleep on the cool side of the pillow with the window open and the stars twinkling down on you. Start and end each day with kindness in your heart. You matter, you are loved, and every day is another chance. I'll see you again when the sun sets and dusk enters the station.